We're going to set up our Chapter 1, Section 4 notes. It's all about properties. So we're going to make sure that we get all this done. At the top of your paper, go ahead and put Notes 1-4 and put Properties of Numbers. So that's up at the top of your notebook paper. And then we stapled in a page today with all the little flip book covers, or the little doors you can open, and we're going to fill in all those pieces now. So you have 1-4, notes, properties of numbers. And then this is what we stapled into your notes, but all the little doors are closed, and we're going to write all the names of the properties on the outside. And we're going to start up here. I'm just going to go in order. So this is the commutative, property of addition. And then we have the commutative property of multiplication. And I'm going to need to, sorry guys, I got to adjust this. I won't be able to fit it in 2 lines. Multiplication. We have the additive identity. We have the associative property of addition. We have the associative property of multiplication. We have the multiplicative identity. And we have the zero property. This is on the outside, so this is what you'll see when all the little doors are closed. Now, when you open the doors up, it's going to look like this. So behind this door right here, it says commutative property of addition. So we're going to put an example of what that looks like. The commutative property of addition says that if everything is added, I'm allowed to change the order so that I put different numbers together, and it's still going to make the same answer. 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 7 is 12. 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 2 is 12. So I can change the order. I can change the order if everything, if everything is added. And then the commutative property of multiplication is behind this one, and that one is the same idea. It just says you can flip-flop the order, but everything has to be multiplied. So if it was, I would switch it and I would multiply the 5 and the 4 first, because that would make 20, and then 20 times 3 is really easy to do. Instead of 12 times 5, I know some people it's easy no matter what, but so you can change the order if it is all multiplied. So everything is being multiplied together. Behind this one is the additive identity. And the additive identity is when you have something and you add this number to it, it does not change the value. So what can you add to a number that's not going to change it? And the answer is 0. If you add 0, you have not changed anything. It also works for variables. So whatever we do with numbers, we can do with variables, because variables are just holding the place for a number. When you add 0, it does not change it. And that brings us over to here. This one behind here should say associative property of addition. And the associative property says that if I have things that are all being added together, but I would like to add them in a certain order first, I'm allowed to group different pieces together. So you can change the grouping. Instead of adding the 2 and the 3, I'm going to add the 7 and the 3 together, because that makes it 10. So I didn't change the order, I changed the grouping. And the parentheses are what do the grouping of things together. But they all have to be added together. And the same idea works for multiplication. So now this one is the associative property of multiplication. And it says that if they put parentheses around 2 of the numbers being multiplied, but you would like to move those parentheses because you want to multiply those first, that's okay. You're changing the grouping. The order did not change, the grouping changed. But again, everything has to be multiplied together. This one is your multiplicative identity, and the multiplicative identity says that if you multiply by this number, it will not change the number. So what can we multiply by and it's not going to change it? Yep. So if you multiply by 1, nothing changes. The value stays unchanged. And the last one. Oh, and this also works for variables too. Let's say we had the variable v. If I multiply v by 1, we still get v. The last one, the 0 property. Anything at all multiplied by 0 will always make 0. Variables included. Anything times 0 is 0. And there we go. There's our properties. We're going to add the distributive property later, but that's all we need for right now.